Special guest in conversation. Actually, we've spoken to him before, and since he's retired, effectively, he seems to be working more than he was before. How do you manage this, Nick Hewer? How do you manage to work more when you retire than when you were physically working?
Well, the more I want to slow down, the more difficult it is to say no.
Yeah.
And I'm busy, actually. And
You are.
I'm lucky. Come on. I'm 71 and I'm jolly fortunate. And I'm very happy to, work for money and work for charity.
Yeah.
There you go. So I'm getting the blend right, I think.
Do you feel... I always think when you get to a certain age, because you've had such good returns in life, you have to do charity. I know it sounds really awful to say, but I just feel it's payback time. I think you have to do something.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I work, as you know, I work for Street Child, which is very, very active down in West Africa, down in Sierra Leone at the moment, and a number of other ones. And I enjoy doing it. And you've got to not just sort of stick your name on it, but get stuck in. And I've been down to Sierra Leone a few times. I'm going down in October, actually.
Right.
Not to run the Street Child Marathon, but to at least watch it.
This is the Ebola appeal, isn't it?
Right, yeah. It's just started. Started yesterday.
Yeah.
The thing is, Steve, that we need £1 million. We need £1 million by the end of the year. And I know there are other issues attracting public attention at the moment. Yeah. But what we do at Street Child, until Ebola arrived and swept across Sierra Leone, we were... identifying kids who had run away from home. Why'd they run away? Because the families couldn't afford them. We identify them, we bring them back, we give the families maybe 50 quid to start them up in business so the child can now be supported, so the child can now go to school. That's essentially what we do. Ebola sweeps in and killed thousands. Yeah. And I think something like 20,000 Ebola victims were created, right? Now what we've got to do is to find their extended families, because they're orphans, they're real orphans. And the extended family in West Africa is different to what we would understand it. Maybe in the village, somebody will take in the child, support that family back to school. Because without education, no nation can make any progress. And that's what Street Child does. And we need the dosh. We need £1 million just to finish the job. We're nearly there.
It isn't a huge amount of money in terms of what you can do with £1 million. You can do a lot with £1 million.
Let me tell you, when I was down in Sierra Leone the last time, there's something called the daily survivor. Everybody in Sierra Leone is looking for the daily survivor that will get them through that day. Do you know what it is? It's 80 pence.
80 pence.
Huh? So 80 pence will sustain somebody for a day. So that shows £1 million. My God, that goes a long way.
It's amazing what you get. The trouble is, every day I open up the newspapers and every day I get more depressed about the way that the world is going. Yeah. I see more horrendous stories. I see pictures in the newspapers that years ago I wouldn't have seen in a newspaper. People wouldn't have shown you things. Now we've become so hardened to what goes on around the world, and there's so many problems. You think, it isn't just money, it's people like you that make awareness, it's the people on the ground who have to go out and do these things. There's just big demands on everybody nowadays, and yet with some fortitude inside of us, we all pull together, and we seem to get it done.
I think that's right, but hasn't the world changed in the last 15 years?
Yes, last 10
years. I don't view it with too much optimism, to be honest with you. I mean, it really is a troubled planet. And we've all got to do our best and open our hearts up, really, and welcome those that perhaps, or give aid to those that perhaps many 5 or 10 years ago would not have given help to.
No,
and of course
you're
we've got
right.
the whole migrant thing. But I'm here for Street Child and that £1 million, so that actually we can settle those children in Sierra Leone and Liberia too, where we're very active, and give them a future. Give them a future.
Because that's all people want nowadays, isn't it? I just think every child should have a mum and a dad and something to look forward to. Most of these people don't have anything to look forward to. I see the migrants now, I see the refugees and everything, and you just think, God, I've got everything. I mean, I gave money to a girl the other week, and I don't give money to people on the streets. I don't think I'm solving a problem. But she just looked so pitiful. Yeah. And it was raining, and I just thought, I've got to give her some money. So I gave her £10. And
God,
which
good for you.
I wouldn't have done it normally. But there was something about her. You look at somebody and you think that £10 might actually help you today. And I think it got her into a shelter, which is great. But she said to me, they stole my blankets the other day. And I'm thinking, What year are we in? This is 2015. We're supposed to be civilised. We've got people sleeping in doorways. I mean, here in London, it's a terrible problem.
Absolutely.
You know, people who are drunk, there's abuse on the street, there's all sorts of things.
What amazes me, you know, Stephen, in a way, is the reaction in Germany. Let's just spend a second or two on the migrant thing. They've opened their borders, and the Austrians too, and bringing people in. They're even sending convoys of cars to drive the migrants into Austria and Germany, welcome them, to give them food and lodging and all the rest of it. What a marked difference that is to the Germany that you and I remember when we were children, all right? So there's been a huge humanitarian shift in Germany and Austria, and I think whilst we took in lots of Jewish kids, you know, the kinder transport in the time of the Nazis coming to power and in power, where has that humanity gone in this country? I think we should look to Germany and try and emulate some of the attitudes that they're showing.
But it all started with that one photograph of that little child on the beach. That was the one thing that triggered everything. Because, as you and I know, there have been many children who've drowned on these crossings, many children who've died, many adults who've died. It was that one picture that if that child did nothing in their life, they're the beacon of hope for lots of other people, because we'd not seen a child face down.
It was an incredible image.
Yes.
Let me tell you another image that I brought back from Sierra Leone, just to get back to that for a second. You know, these little kids, 8, 9 years old, they run away from home because the family can't feed them. They go foraging, and then suddenly they stay overnight. Before you know where you are, they're runaways. And I met one little guy that Street Child had actually rescued and put back with the family, and he was now at school. Listen to this for a second. I was talking to him, and he said, well, it's okay on the street, but at election time, it's dangerous. Do you know why, Steve? No. Because at election time, the politicians, some of them, they go off to the shaman, to the witch doctor, and the witch doctor may well say to them, your election chances don't look great. But if you perhaps were to eat the liver of a small boy, and kids disappear at election time, and that's something that we also want, by putting them back in their families, to stamp out that sort of behaviour.
Can we not educate people to say, listen, this isn't going to, by eating the liver of a child, I mean, you can't, it sounds so fantastic, but I know it happens because I think it's happened here as well, as people bring different cultures in. I mean, could somebody not educate these people, or are they beyond that? They just would not accept?
It's a cultural thing. It's like female mutilation, it's a cultural thing, and there we are. I mean, enough problems just actually feeding people and giving them health and education without getting into the sort of cultural issues.
I don't know how children of that age actually survive on the street. You're talking about 8 and 9 year olds.
Yeah.
So
sleeping under the lorries, sleeping under tables in the market, always sleeping with one eye open. Yeah. Scrounging, stealing, begging.
It's not right. It's not right, is it?
No. But there we are, and that's why I'm absolutely committed to doing what I can to help that charity in whatever little way I can, to bring a little bit of sort of spotlight onto Street Child, to show, look, £1 million, we can close this problem down really, fairly quickly. We can really bring it back and stabilise it, because at the moment it's unstable.
There's so many rich people around. You'd think you could get money out of people, couldn't you? You'd think you could go to somebody who's got, there are lots of people who have a lot of money in this day and age, and you think you could just solve these problems. You could help out in an even bigger way than you do at the moment.
Of course. But there are a lot of people asking for money.
Yes.
And we're just, one voice amongst many. But, I'm saying to your listeners, come on, guys, cough up. I mean, look at the website, Street Child, not difficult.
Yes, it's not a difficult one. When were you first aware of Street Child? When did they make you aware?
I went down there, I suppose, about 5-6 years ago. Yeah. And then I drove down overland because I wanted a bit of an adventure. And I dragged down some equipment to give to a kid that the charity had trained as a carpenter, and set him up in business. Not because I'm a philanthropist, actually, but because I thought, A, it would be a good adventure for me, because I love these long-distance trips. But also, it was a bit of an experiment. And that bloke, who's now in his mid-20s, is doing very well. And when he rings me up and tells me I can hear his machinery banging away in the background. So, put the money in the right place, educate them, and give that country a chance to lift itself above the appalling poverty level that exists at the moment.
All right, very quick break. More from Nick Hewer after this. Special guest in conversation, Nick Hewer. We were talking about Street Child, about these children who sort of run away from home at the age of 8 and 9. I mean, how awful must it be for these children to have to live on the streets? They live in fear of their lives. They sleep under lorries. They have to forage. I mean, I've seen it in other countries. I lived in Hong Kong for a while, and we saw people who had nothing, little kids begging, and they would run behind cars and things like that, hoping that somebody would give them something. But it wasn't just one. There'd be 10 of them or 20 of them.
That's right.
And this problem in Sierra Leone, I mean, involves how many children? Do we know? Do we have figures?
Well, I think we're currently looking at a sort of, in a sense, a bit of a backlog of about 20,000 that we're identifying and looking after. These are the orphans of the Ebola victims, those that died, because every adult that dies, as it were, leaves an orphan or two. Right? And now what are they going to do? So we're identifying members of an extended family, and giving that family a bit of cash to start them up in business, bring the child back, send the child to school. It's a very simple proposition that we've got, and it's been working for a number of years now. We've done a great job. And then guess what? Out of Guinea comes Ebola, and it rolls across Sierra Leone and into Liberia, and it disrupts what we were doing and creates a bigger problem for us to solve. And we're solving it, but we need more money. We need $1 million by the end of the year, and that will enable us to really stabilise and begin to finish what we started, because it works. I've been there and I've seen the little businesses that these families are running, and it's extraordinary. 50 quid, £50.
£50
will save a family and enable a child to be brought back into that family and to go to school. Not much, is it?
Does it break your heart when you go there?
Well, does it break my heart? I'm not a weepy sort of person.
No.
But I've heard some stories down there, and you think, my gosh, that's too much. And I mentioned earlier about the little chap that I met. He was stunted in growth because, of course, he was malnourished. But we got him, we put him back into the family. He was at school, and he sat there very quietly through an interpreter, because they speak a sort of a pidgin, that I would struggle with. And he told me through an interpreter that he was very glad to be safe. Because, and then he told me the story about at election time, children disappear, and they disappear for various reasons, one of which, to my horror, looking at this little kid, is that they're taken and killed, and bits of them are eaten in order to give power maybe to a local politician who's been advised by the local witch doctor that's when he needs to ensure.
Anybody ever do that? How in your heart of hearts could you ever kill a child just for something? I mean, it just beggars belief to me.
The world's a very strange place.
It is.
Very strange things happen all over. And some of them happen in West Africa.
But that's just to little children who don't know anything. They're there. You expect them to get some sort of life, not just somebody to select somebody out and go, right, we're going to... I've heard of these stories before, but I can't get my head around it. I just don't know how anybody... I couldn't even kill a rabbit.
Education's a thing. We're building schools. We can build a school up country where there are no schools, for instance, for about 12,000 quid, which has got 3 classrooms, right? And then all the kids come in from the villages and get educated. And do you know what how we fund this? Because we give the parents of the kids in the school, we sell them actually groundnut seed,
right?
And they grow it as part of their contribution,
yes.
And then they sell it, right? And the proceeds then go to run the school, and they get their money back. It's such a sweet, circular sort of solution, really. What you can do in West Africa, in Sierra Leone, for 500 quid, you would not believe.
Yeah.
And yet, you go off and have a big lunch now, or I do.
Yes, he is going off for a big lunch.
With Michael Whitehall, Jack Whitehall's there. And I'm afraid we'll spend a few quid on that, and that would keep a family going for a couple of months.
Well, don't, because if we all thought like that, you wouldn't go out. You'd stay in with the curtains drawn and the lights off all the time, because you'd be too guilty about it. But you're doing your bit. That's the important thing. Because of your profile, Nick, you can go out and talk to people. If you were just Joe Bloggs down the street, there probably wouldn't be as much media coverage for Street Child, would there? It's purely because of your profile, and a lot of charities like people like you can go out and talk eloquently about the work that they do and galvanise people into doing something. There'll be a lot of people after it, they will go and check out the website. Some people will donate, some people won't donate.
Sure,
but
sure.
It's the fact that you've made them aware of it. But if you were just somebody else, you know, there wouldn't be the coverage. It's the celebrity basis which we're doing interviews on now.
Yeah, this celebrity thing.
thing.
I'm very
Whether you like it or not, you are a celebrity.
Well, there we go.
People know who you are.
Let's go for the Zeds.
You're going to a very, very posh rate because you've dressed up for this one. So
dressed up for you, Steve.
Oh, bless your heart. What would you talk about over lunch? Do you talk about work?
Well, we are going to talk a bit about work, actually, Michael and I, but I'm not going to go into that because it's all too fuzzy.
Oh,
but
right.
we...
Is it a project?
Maybe. But he's fun.
Yeah.
Jack's
yes, I've seen them on the television.
Hilarious.
Together, yeah.
And I'll tell you where he gets it from. His mum and dad, they are
really
brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
So, still recording. How many shows a day for Countdown?
We do 5 a day. And
fast turnaround, isn't it? A fast turnaround.
Yeah, we do 3 days on the trot. So we do 15 shows, 3 weeks worth, as it were. And it's a great show. No money prizes, no this, no that, no the other thing. It's down to sort of the ability to spot words and solve mathematical questions, and it's great, and I love it. I was a bit nervous to begin with. I'm sort of settled in, and I like it. We've got Susie Dent in Dictionary Corner, who is brilliant.
Yes.
Wonderful. And she's got excellent guests. And then we've got Rachel, of course, who is a demon with the numbers.
She is.
It's a very happy ship.
Yes.
And we're very pleased with it. I wish it was on a little bit later in the afternoon.
Well, you never know. You never know these things.
I think Channel 4, they won a real strong programme to kick the afternoon off.
Yes.
But I enjoy it very much.
I love watching the audience because they like getting involved as well. Your audience get involved with it and play the game with everybody else.
Oh, yeah, some of them are very good. We had a young chap the other day. Do you know he was getting the conundrums in under a second? I couldn't believe it.
Some people just see it.
That's exactly right. Yes. They don't work at it. It's there.
Yes. They don't need to try.
For the first time ever, I got a 9-letter word the other day.
No.
Or 9 out of 10 does countdown. And it was rationales. I couldn't believe it.
See, I'm rubbish
and I got
at things.
it.
I'm terrible at things like that.
Well, I'm not that great, I can tell you.
No, it'd be a bit, but you obviously get better with it. But I love the people that do it because I sometimes can solve the numbers thing. And I don't know how I do it. I can just sometimes see it and I think, oh yeah, you do that by that, that's multiplied by that, and I can do it. The conundrums, I sit there staring. They could be playing sheep and cows.
I used to be better with the letters. I'm better with the numbers now. Really.
Of course you are. Of course you're better with the numbers. That's
it was very
do.
funny. Early on, when I was first started it, the clock's ticking and the two guys are scribbling away and I'm looking at it and I suddenly see the word conifers and I shout out conifers and they said, no, Nick, you can't do that because, that's for the competitors.
It's not for you.
So we had to do it all again.
But you obviously enjoy hearing the stories from the celebrity guests as well.
We get some great people.
Yeah, there's some good guests. I love the guests in
Jo Brand comes up. She's always wonderful. We had Saran Fiennes the other day.
Yes.
Who's complete crackers.
Yeah. I'm glad you said it.
He's a wonderful
But
bloke.
People like that I like. I like slight eccentrics. Yeah. You're slightly eccentric.
Am I?
Well, I think there we are. You see, you're shocked. You're shocked now. Coming here. We were both talking about being a member of the Garrick Club. You're not a member of the Garrick Club.
No.
But you'd like to be.
I think it's a great club. I've got some friends who are members there. I'm very happy to be a member of the Reform Club, which is a progressive, reforming sort of group, and it's probably the most beautiful building in London.
Yes.
But there we are. I'm very happy where I am.
But you like dining out. You like your food.
Do you know, I sort of used to. I'm not a foodie.
Why?
At all. Not bothered.
Really?
Not really. No, I don't.
Of course, isn't it? You just sort of go out and I look at it as a social thing now.
Yeah. I'm not a foodie at all. I like a reasonable bottle of wine.
Yes, me too.
But food, I'm not bothered.
Christmas is around the corner. Do you think the world might be a better place by Christmas? Do you think?
Well, let's hope there's a bit more Christmas spirit, actually, in terms of giving.
Yes.
In a troubled world at the moment.
It is troubled, isn't it? It is, and all of a sudden it seemed to have happened. And I don't know why. I look at things around the world and I think, we're actually reasonably fortunate here. We're lucky that we've got, roofs over our head and we can afford to sort of go out and eat and do things. Whereas in some parts of the world at this precise moment, they've got nothing. Nothing at all. And such a little bit of money could change their life.
Sure. Very little money too, very little money. And we were talking a little bit earlier about what £50 will do. To set a family up in business to enable a child to go back, rejoin that family and then go to school. That's £1 a week.
Nothing, is it?
Nothing.
They do have a website, which is very easy. It's just streetchild.com.co.uk.com.
Yeah.
.co.uk.
Yeah.
Street Child. So then you can go on there and you can see all the work that they do. And you're going back when? October, you said?
October, yeah. There's the Street Child Marathon that takes place in McKenney. So you fly into Freetown Airport and then you take the new road to McKenney. And we've got a number of good, brave, solid people who realise actually the Ebola thing is finished and they're going to come out and they're going to run that marathon. I'm not going to run it. I can barely run for a bus.
I think not too.
But I'm going to go out, God willing, and watch it and, reunite myself with some old friends out there. It's a great country, Good people.
Fingers crossed for the money as well. Nick Hewer, thank you.
My pleasure.
It's funny. It can. If you film in London or something on the street, someone will beat their horn or swear at you or try and wreck the filming. But down there, I mean, I know I've been doing it for so long, but right from the word go, I always felt very